War. Brave boys doing their duty, suddenly becoming men, believing in tomorrow. Too many never see that day, but some made it back and deserved to be honored. This is their story. The final World War II honor flight missions. Tonight, Stryker and Curly. The Honor Flight Heroes. World War II officially ended in 1945. It was nearly 60 years before a proper national memorial was erected to honor those who fought. This is literally the generation that saved the world. But until 2001, there was no official recognition of their service. By the time the World War II monument was completed, these brave heroes had reached their elder years. Most had little hope of ever seeing the sprawling granite tribute to their courage. That is, until Honor Flight was born. Honor Flight first flew World War II veterans to Washington, D.C. to see the monument erected in their honor in 2005. Since then, thousands of World War II veterans who fought for and preserved our freedom have flown an honor flight. They experienced firsthand the love and gratitude of everyday people who seek them out to say thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for saving freedom. But time waits for no one. Even those that escaped the sad fate of their fallen comrades during the war cannot escape the limitation life gives us all. These are the last World War II honor flight missions. As soon, all the passengers will be gone. Never were men and women more deserving of recognition, and never will we forget their service. Of the 130 regional hubs in the United States, Honor Flight Rochester in upstate New York made it possible for World War II veterans Philip Curly Boystock and Harold Stryker to travel to Washington, D.C. and experience the honors bestowed on them for their service. Honor Flight Rochester is passionately embraced by the local community, with over 700 volunteers organizing scores of fundraising events to pay for the veteran trips to the Washington, D.C. War Memorial Monuments. Veterans fly absolutely free, including meals, ground transportation to the monuments, and hotel. It is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, not only for the veterans, but for all who share the special moments throughout the trip. People begin lining up hours before the honor flight arrival, carrying signs, flags, hugs, kisses, and smiles of gratitude. There are varied events, such as Breastacular, a day-long musical celebration with local school kids and seasoned performers who enthusiastically belt out brass tunes for the veteran audience while the audience joins in the fun. A special group of women who call themselves the Honor Flight Dolls dress in 1940s dresses and makeup and dance with the vets, bringing them back to the days of their youth. Well-attended golf tournaments result in generous donations to the Honor Flight cause. As well as the spectacular Rochester Air Show, a favorite of the veterans and public alike. The soaring, daring visual ballet captivates all,
The signal is go, go, go. James pushes over and starts to build up the airspeed again for some more, even more aggressive aerobatics with Carol Pilon all the way. Up, and the hammerhead to get turned around, and down she comes.
And the money raised goes directly to fund the 6 honor flight missions flown each year. All of this, along with countless presentations at local charitable organizations, helps fund the honor flights. It truly is a community-wide effort supported by local media, politicians, and people from all walks of life. Deserving veterans are finally seeing for themselves how they are appreciated and loved. The planning is intense. Veteran applications are reviewed, with precedence given to those from World War II or those from later conflicts who are in the poorest health. Medical personnel determine if it is safe for the veteran. Every detail is checked and double-checked for safe, comfortable travel by the dedicated staff of flight crew volunteers. From the honor flight start in 2005, when only World War II veterans made the trip, on the most recent honor flight in September of 2019, there were just 2 World War II veterans out of 55. Yes, the mission of honor flight to reach out to the remaining World War II veterans is not only timely, it is urgent. According to the Department of Veterans Affairs, an estimated 350 World War II veterans die each day. Our time to express thanks to these brave men and women is running out. Of the 16 million that served, only about 342,000 remain in 2019. The surviving soldiers who returned home to the United States had incredible stories to share, but in many cases, never told them. This greatest generation preferred to move on, worked for a better life, as they raised families and built the modern-day America that thrived in the 50s and 60s. The Honor Flight Heroes program allows the World War II veterans to finally tell their story and then share the unbelievable experience of an honor flight for themselves. Our mission is to preserve for all time these tales of courage and sacrifice. Please stay tuned. Philip Curley Voistock, T5 Corporal, American Graves Registration Command.
Well, I grew up in a small mining village, I guess you would call it.
Curley grew up in Upper Lehigh, Pennsylvania. It was known as a patch town, an area where a coal mine company would build some small housing units to serve as housing for miners and their families.
I had a brother and a sister. There was 5 of us in the family, and it was, during the Depression, it was tough. We picked coal for the stove, picked beans. We planted our own garden, tomatoes, cabbage, corn. And I had to help dig the garden, with the pitchfork. And it was all right. We always had enough to eat. Yeah, my mom stayed at home all the time. And, her job was to raise us and keep us fed and keep that shanty warm. It was a good time. Everybody helped it. Neighbor upon neighbor, they would help you. Somebody got sick, they'd go over and sit, take stuff over to eat for you. And it was a close-knit little town. Everybody knew everybody, and we helped each other out.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
The war started, and everybody was kind of jittery, you know. They kind of scared, didn't know what was going to happen. I know our radio used to go out once in a while, and we'd go up the street, listen to the neighbor's radio, get some of the news. It was tough. We had tough times. Well, I was drafted. You got your greetings on that there. It says greetings to you. It was a time where everybody, well, we wanted to go and fight. You didn't want to be called a slacker. There, when I got drafted, I went to Camp Landing, Florida. And I took 13 weeks of jungle training in the swamps of Florida. We went overseas as a rifle company. And we got into Le Havre, and they put us on box cars. We didn't know where we were going. Then when they stopped the train, we were in Namur, Belgium. And I remember we were staying in a bombed-out high school. It was pretty damn cold. And from there, they kept assigning different groups. They split up the rifle company. And Sergeant came to me one day, he just said, you over there, you want to go on the Graves registration? What the hell, I didn't know nothing about that. He said, there ain't no inspection. So I said, okay. That's how I got into AGRC.
The American Graves Registration Command scoured battlefields and makeshift cemeteries for bodies, recovering more than 170,000 American servicemen. German POWs were forced to dig for the bodies, while the care of the remains were turned over to the Americans once a buried U.S. soldier was found. More than 109,000 American families elected to leave their fallen kin in overseas cemeteries, buried with their fallen comrades.
We're looking for markers for graves to dig the bodies up. Then they sent me to Marseille, France. We took big refrigerators down there. There was 3 cemeteries down there, but they had a guy there was a caretaker. I'll never forget him. We stayed in a chateau, what they called the kind of building, and he was the caretaker. And at night, we were there 4 days, 5 days. So he said, I'm staying here to take care of these buddies of mine because I was an orphan. I have nobody back in the United States. They looked for dog tags. They looked for identification. We were told to keep looking and looking, whatever you find to turn in. Yeah, it was a terrible job. Yeah, they paint P on one leg, W, and on the rear they put a PW, prisoner of war. And they had to wear them clothes. They were in like a compound, set aside from us. And I used to march 6 of them in the morning. Whatever detail I was told to go, I'd go and get them. All Germans that I know, there was Fritz, Werner, Jaxie, Horst, Harry. I had 6, there was another guy, I forgot his name, but I was with them every day. We used to say, was ist los mit der Luftwaffe? And all of us would holler, nix Benzin, nix petrol. See, the Germans ran out of gas toward the end of the war for the airplanes, and we used to give it to them. Was ist los mit der Luftwaffe? And it was just fun, you know. We had one guy there was a SS man. I could have shot him. He was mean. Even his friends there didn't like him. He was like an outcast in that gang because he's SS. Stay away, Scheiße, stay away. But they didn't like taking orders from an 18-year-old American soldier, because most of them guys had 10 years in the Army. And I had to tell them what to do. But I got along with them. I'd kid with them, I'd joke with them, you know. So we were on that little island in the middle of the Seine River. It was Isle, I guess it's still there, Isle Saint-Germain. And we could go to any movie house, any state function, like the catacombs, the Eiffel Tower. We rode the metro, the subway, in uniform. I was there on Bastille Day, 14th of July. That's like our 4th of July. Boy, you could get drunk there anywhere. But they're passing out wine, cognac, voulez-vous, promenade, avec moi ce soir. Good days. I come home first. I think one or two they got left go before me. The rest stayed there. After the war, they sent me letters. They wanted cigarettes, they wanted soap, they wanted candy, Hershey bars, they had nothing up there. Some of them guys went back to, well, most of them back to nothing. Frankfurt was just a pile of bricks. Well, that's where we thought we were going, to the islands in Japan. You know, the rumor was they send us back to the States, they'll get us revved up again, and they'll ship us to the Pacific. But they never did, and then once the bombs was dropped, why, that's the way it just about ended. Because I seen enough of dead bodies and guys crippled up. And that's not a pretty sight either. You know, I didn't want to see no more of that.
Harold Stryker, Army Private First Class, Purple Heart, Okinawa.
Well, I learned a lot while I was in the Army. Going in there at 19 years old, had 3 weeks of training down here to Camp Wheeler, Georgia. We were out on maneuvers, and they called us back in and said, you gotta get your bags packed, we're shipping you out. Going to California. We was on a troop train, we got to Cincinnati. Train had an hour wait over. I said, I think we ought to go say our goodbyes, because I don't think if we get to the West Coast, we ain't coming back. We agreed on it, so we snuck off at the next train to Rochester. This back in '44, when they had the blizzard. Taxi took us out of Rochester. They didn't charge their servicemen anything. Take them anywhere they wanted to go. We both were there to say goodbye to our families and kids and that. All we knew, we were going to the West Coast, but we were supposed to go to Hawaii to have 2 more weeks of training. We're on LSTs when you left Hawaii. We're a ship you can travel with. They didn't have any big ships for us. They had LSTs, and they needed help over there. So all of us 18 years, 20-year-old, 19-year-olds that was there, we were elected to go. So we got it figured out for 5 of us. It was took training together and started out in the service, kind of wiggled ourselves back and forth, so we all got to go to the same outfit, which made it very nice. I mean, otherwise you're going into perfect strangers. And a place like that is no place to be trying to make friends with anybody. We stuck together all the way through the whole thing for some reason. I don't know how the hell we did it, but the first day of the invasion, we missed. The second day of the invasion is when we joined 96th Division. Our general, easily, lost his life.
Brigadier General Easley personally supervised the 96th Division's marksmanship training, gaining the nickname Deadeyes.
He gave us the word, we're moving forward, fellas. We're going to take this island. We are leaving nothing. Get me straight, he says. Nothing. We leave nothing standing, moving behind you. If you do, and you get lost, and you're done.
Easley went to the front to check the progress of his troops as they cleared the last Japanese positions. Easley crawled to the top of a knoll, and 2 rounds hit him in the forehead, killing him instantly.
Might get a little tough here. It's not a pretty sight. That's where I got my Purple Hearts in Okinawa. They're called back up. They're backed up in there with their guns pointing out at you. They had to get us what they called these flamethrowers. They run on fuel oil. We had to use them to stay alive. We had to use them. There's no way getting around it. It was either them or you. I mean, I can't tell you some of the things that what I had to do. I'm going to refuse to tell you. It's where I had saved my own life. I wouldn't be here today. I'm sorry, but it had to happen.
The 96th Infantry Deadeyes suffered 1,625 killed, 7,500 wounded, and 32 missing in action, the highest rate of casualties within any of the 7 divisions involved in the Battle of Okinawa. Stryker beat the odds and lived, only to be ordered to invade the Japanese islands.
When we went to from Okinawa to Japan, we're on LSTs. That's the way the water's going, and the boat's going the same way. We're on our way to Japan. When Harry Truman calls, where we were 15 feet away from putting our feet on, they told us, turn them around in a hurry, go to the Philippine Islands. Don't care which one you hit, we'll call you in the morning. But he dropped the first bomb. They called, have you had enough yet? Well, you don't have enough. Drop the other one, fellas. I'll tell you, if it wasn't for Truman to tell us to turn around, we would not be here today. I'm telling you, that's no lie. We would not be here today. That's what saved our butts. Because we lost one hell of a bunch of men over there. I'm only one out of how many?
The day finally arrived for the excited veterans ready to take their Rochester honor flight. 4 a.m. Saturday morning, honor flight veterans arrived at the Rochester airport. Inside the terminal, the honor flight ground crew was waiting.
Have a seat, please. Army Security Agency. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We better watch it.
Outside, the vets are greeted at the curb.
Thank you for your service. Enjoy your trip.
Check-in is quick and easy, and fun.
She got to go. That's great. Yeah, you were there.
In remembrance of this special weekend, photos are taken of each vet in front of the American flag. The flag is then properly folded for careful storage, ready for the next honor flight. The anticipation builds as the boarding process begins.
He's taking the limelight. I love him. Leaves the limelighter. Thank you again. Come on up. Oh, here comes
Hi there, young man. How you doing, Shorty? Yeah, how about that?
Oh, yes.
Aha! Got me? Huh? There you go.
Put you right here on the window, Megan right beside him.
How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm gonna have you go right over on the window over there, Rick right beside him.
The honor flight boarding is smooth and efficient. The Honor Flight Rochester crew, assisted by the flight attendants, all with respect for the veterans.
Truly our great honor, Southwest Airlines and a group for Southwest here to take y'all down to Baltimore. Thank you very much for entrusting us. We'll get you down there as quickly and safely as we can. We're going to be cruising an altitude of 26,000 feet today. We'll be 297 miles down to Baltimore, and it's going to take us exactly 47 minutes of flight time.
The plane departs at 6:45 a.m. Everyone is wide awake, except for a vet or two catching a few minutes of rest. But some, it seems, never sleep.
It's mail call time. Keep your ears open. We have a bunch of mail to distribute. Thank you.
The vets have mail addressed to them, written by Rochester school children thanking them for their service.
Record.
Sutman! Sutman! I know he's on here. I see. He didn't lead the plane, really. I mean,
She's friends with Chloe.
After landing at the Baltimore airport and exiting into the gate area, the veterans were greeted by well-wishers of every age and description, thanking them for their service.
appreciate everything you've done.
The veterans were brought to the curbside entrance to the chartered buses, and after boarding, were led into Washington, D.C. by an honor flight motorcycle escort. Glimpses of the Washington Monument are spotted just as the bus heads into the World War II memorial entrance. Again, upon entering the monument, the well-wishers were everywhere, thanking the veterans for their service.
Thank you for your service, sir. Welcome to the World War.
The spectacle of the World War II monument is awe-inspiring, as the sun was shining on a picture-perfect day.
Beautiful. And what a day, not a cloud in the sky.
I'll tell you right now, he was the best president we ever had. He saved my butt. 15 minutes away from where I was supposed to be, and he stopped the whole situation.
A short bus ride away, the Korean War Memorial featured eerie soldier statues in the field, ready for combat. Veterans who fought in the war were moved as the haunting images conjured up memories of their service. Even in their 90s, the World War II vets showed incredible stamina and humor.
You again? I gotta move on.
The Vietnam Memorial's wall of names went on and on as the toll from one of America's most controversial wars was dramatically displayed. Overseeing it all was the image of Abraham Lincoln, who served as president while brother battled brother. Onto Arlington Cemetery, the images of the rows and rows of white gravestones tugged at the heart. The changing of the guard was a performance of discipline and dignity, with a tradition that has been carried out 365 days a year, every hour on the hour, since 1937. The next stop, the Air Force Memorial, featuring a dramatic sculpture reaching to the sky. While the view of Washington, D.C. filled the skyline. The next stop was the most recognizable memorial of all. The Marines planting the flag at Iwo Jima. All the Marines on the trip posed together and renewed the bond that they had once shared in the service. Boarding the buses, the vets headed to the hotel for check-in and a night to remember. Next, a banquet dinner was served, with an empty table set up to honor the soldiers who never made it back.
I salute.
I couldn't believe it. It was really very impressive.
Open mic speeches from the veterans expressing their highlights of the day, and poignant memories of their service filled the room, touching every heart.
I'll be telling the people about it, you know, and hey, I'm just a happy old man.
Friendships were renewed or begun.
I had a father that served in the First World War, and I had a brother who served in the Navy on Okinawa. And I had another brother who was 25 years old, who had 2 small children, was drafted, went to Luzon, the Philippines, and was killed. And they never found his body. So being at that memorial, knowing that a piece of one of those stars belonged to him, was very touching for me. Thank you for all you do.
Emotions swelling. Everyone in the banquet room is led by a veteran who stands and asks to join him in singing.
God bless America.
Sure. Yeah.
I may break up a little bit.
It's okay.
Okay, let's go. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, bright with gold. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Gino, thank you so much. So touching. Thank you.
In the final moments of the evening, Philip Boystock Jr., son of Curly Boystock, asked to read a poem he's written about his honor flight experience.
As we make our way slowly to the next war memorial, a single leaf tumbles out of the shade, into the sun, and onto the ground. I'm overwhelmed thinking about the other fallen we remember today. Even as we celebrate all of the extraordinary people still among us, who are expertly disguised as the normal folks we see around us all the time.
Thanks, bud.
Lasting friendships were renewed or begun. and the rest of the evening was spent in conversation and laughter. As the veterans fly back to their hometown and depart the plane, they are greeted by 2 floors of adoring crowds saying thank you and welcome home. It was an unforgettable experience. It was an honor flight.
There's only one responsibility left that I have, and that is to Mission 67, dismissed.
I never expected it to be so good. My God, the people treated you so nice. All the people of the world should treat you like this.
I'm still here, and I'm after him with that camera. I made him sweat today.
Stryker and Curly. The honor flight heroes.